Got it. Okay.
Um, I guess when did you start your channel? I know. Can you talk for a second about that? About how your channel got started? And
So what happened? So how it got started really was after Kent Hovind, everything that we went through with Kent. That's when it really got started. When I started putting out like Christian content and whatnot.
yeah, you put out the documentary.
Yeah, there was a couple of things I did before that, but yeah, that the main reason for that channel was to expose. I hate using the word expose, but telling the truth about Kent so that people would wake up, among other things. That was one of the main reasons why. It's funny, actually, the concept "lies of the devil." It was something that I came up with really like a year before I even met Kent. It was a ministry that I know the Lord put in my heart to do, which was to show Christians just what the lies of the devil. And that was about a year before I met Kent, and then I did everything with Kent, and to be honest, I was there working for the Lord because I believed in the creation message and whatnot.
Right.
And it just happened to be that Kent turned out to be this person that he was. And then after that, it was like, I could get into it deeply spiritually. I know that that's not your channel necessarily, and it was like a domino effect. It just kind of happened. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess that's a long answer.
Yeah. See, that's kind of the problem with Kent, though, is people they get into him because they think it's about his creation message, but he's got all these other bugaboos the things he really wants to talk about. He has the so-called ministry, but really, like back in the day, what he wanted to do was make like the straw man DVD and do the tax evasion stuff. It was always anti-government. That's what he really wanted to talk about, and it seems like the ministry was just a vehicle for that.
That's pretty succinctly. Succinctly, yeah. That's pretty much it.
Have you heard anything about a fourth wife, fourth Mrs. Hovind there? Because I've heard.
Oh yeah, yep. I've been. Let's just say people the people that were there, people that are there. She's gone. She's and Kent's doing everything he can. The video you sent me. For people that don't know, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows and watches your channel, because he, being atheist and whatnot. It's unfortunate. I wish the Christian community woke up. Honestly, I think that they are. There's just a small fragment that he has left that don't really. They're baby Christians, I guess you would say.
Right.
But yeah, that's exactly what happened. I've actually got information, inside information of what Ernest Land and Kent Hovind are doing, which was to set her up as to be crazy if she were ever come out.
Right. I think you could see that in the video.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I know that that's part of the reason why she hasn't, because she's scared of him. Mm-hmm. And people that have known Kent for years, his own family, let's just say, his son and whatnot, the reason why they don't is because they know Kent. Let's just say this: sorcery in the Bible. Because I want to respect you and the people that's your audience.
Oh yeah, I don't have a problem with that. If you want to talk about scriptural things like.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate that. So sorcery. In the Bible, it's a strong word. It's condemned, really. We don't deal with people like Kent is. He's got some weird thing with people that he's psychologically and even spiritually he's got with the people that follow him. And maybe it could be as simple as the ideology, and these people fall into that category, and so they think that he's a hero of sorts, because that's what he kind of makes himself out to be, like a George Washington of the New American Revolution or whatever he's trying to do.
Well, that's how Cindy looked at him. You know, she called him her
Well,
leader.
yeah, well, that's the thing, is it's not as simple as, it could be as simple as that, but it's not. And
Right.
I don't, unless you physically went down there and spent time with him, and like, for instance, myself, what was it, like a year, I think, or something like that, maybe more, you wouldn't understand until you get to know that side of him. So people that go there, yeah, he's going to have that fan base of the sovereign citizen types. He's going to have that.
Right.
I personally never bought into it. I don't believe in any of that. Okay, I think it's some philosophy and a little crazy. It's crazy. Okay,
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I agree.
But some people buy into it, and that's fine. I look at it as like a philosophy / theology that people get into, and people have that freedom. Okay, fine. He's going to have those people. Then he has the Cindy's, and he has the other people that are baby Christians that go there, and he really feeds off of them, like extreme. And then he has another portion of Christians that are a little bit more mature, but they don't read their Bible and they don't know what to look out for, and they are the cash cows for him. Like, I mean, his ministry is all about making money off of those people.
Mm-hmm.
His worker bees are the baby Christians that don't really know much, that are just that are brand new. And then there's the seasoned people that know God's word, at least a portion of it, you know what I mean, that have common sense, and they look at him and they run the opposite direction. So he's really got the sovereign citizens that are always going to be by his side. He's got the baby Christians that are the worker bees that he takes advantage of. He's got the other Christians that are the claim it and name it, you know, money, 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 and they feed his ministry because they don't care. They think like the prosperity gospel type stuff.
Right, yeah.
And then he's got the others that run away.
Yeah, and the people who have nowhere else to really go, like that he kind of takes advantage of them, like you were saying.
Yeah, I would call them baby Christians, right?
Right.
They haven't really figured out who they are yet, and
you know what I was actually saying was Cindy was the third wife, but I could be wrong, but I think there's actually a new woman there, because one of Kent's recent videos, I mean, we pretty much know that Cindy left, but Kent said in his recent video, at the end of the video, he says, "I have a hot date with my wife." So, and I've heard rumors that there's already another, I know you put out that video saying like women, you know, stay away from Kent, but I don't know. I've just heard some rumblings about that, so I would hope.
Oh my God. Well, I know there was a video someone sent me, this woman that was really googly eye over him. That, you know how he brings people on and does like their testimony.
Yeah. She
came on and she was super googly eye over him, and I hope maybe that's the lady. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. He has people, and it would be very surprising if we could count them. If there was a way to count them, he has multiple wives, definitely, you know, concubines and stuff like that. He has those people.
Yeah.
And so, you know, with Kent, his theology, well, let me say this, there's an aspect of end times where when Christ comes back, that there's going to be a fragment, or like the martyrs of the Bible, that will come back, and I think it's called Millennial Kingdom.
Like the 1,000-year reign?
Yeah, and he believes that he's going to have anything that he gets here on earth, anything, the wives, the property, the money, anything, that he's going to have that during that reign, and that he's going to be the mayor of the city. I mean, he even says it. He even says that. So that's why he has this mentality where he can have multiple wives, and he can skew the Bible whichever way he wants, because he's going to be the mayor. Like, he's already been chosen by God to be the governor of Lennox. I mean, that's literally what he believes.
Yeah.
I know that might sound crazy, but it's not. I mean,
I've seen him say it.
I mean, it is crazy. It's nuts, but that's what he believes that God has already foretold in the Bible. And when he talks about David, and he talks about Job, and how he's a David character or how he's a Job character, he literally believes that he's somebody. He's already one of those type of characters in like the new era, like this new unwritten Bible thing that's going on in the future. Like that's so I don't know. It's not new. I don't know.
It's like Hovindism.
You could call it that.
Yeah, but you know that Kent talks in subliminal messages on his videos, like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think the video I sent you, it was has Kent's like third wife Lefty AL, and in that video when he's talking about David, it seems to me that he's talking about himself when he says David. That's the impression I get. Like did they have any reason to be mad at David and all this? That's kind of how I made that video, and because it seems like Kent is indirectly talking about himself.
Well, yeah, that's why I brought that up, because I mean, and it's not only so part of the reason, because that video I was watching, I was laughing. I was trying not to, but I was laughing because it was like, wow, this guy is so out there, and people, they think it's like a movie. You know what I mean? They think like this world is like a movie, and that Kent Hovind is some type of hero figure, and so they literally believe he's like a David, like a King David. They get caught up in that, and the reason why I can say that is because when we were there, my wife and I, when we were there, the people that were surrounding him were talking about how, that he's a warrior, and that when the tribulation happens, that God is supernaturally going to shield this area, and that the New World Order is not going to touch this place, and the helicopters and stuff won't even know that it's on the radar, and that Kent Hovind is going to like have an army of people that will wait for the Lord to come back. And I'm not joking when I tell you that. I mean, that's literally what people were saying. It's nuts.
Yeah, well, he thinks he's God's anointed, like a prophet.
Yes. He'll say, I don't say that. I don't say that. You said, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. You're the one that says it. Because he thinks, well, okay, let's backtrack. Okay, so the whole King David thing, I remember, I'm going to bring up some things in your video. I watched a couple of them because I wanted to know where you're coming at. And one of them, okay, so the King David, he was, when he first came out of prison, and he had me come down there, and he was like picking my brain on, how to build the ministry and what I would do and how I would go about it. And I remember telling him, okay, real quick, I love God. I love God with all my heart. I've got a beautiful family. I know the things that God has given me,
right.
And I know what He's done in my life. And I know that's going to be hard for some people to recognize, who will say, well, how could you do that? How could you realize, how could you say all those things? God's not real or whatever, okay? I've heard it all. But the personal things that God has done in my life, that Christ has done in my life, you guys won't be able to know. You won't know it because it's personal. Same thing with my wife. And that's how we know when it's something of God, or when we know that God is blessing us, because we can see His thumbprints, even in our actions in our life, the things that we see, spiritual stuff, okay? Mm-hmm. And I know that might sound nuts to people, and that's fine. I pray that you get that, okay, at some point. So with Kent, when he was saying, how are we going to, what are we going to do with the ministry? How should we build? What do you see, brother? And I said, well, let's have it to where there's a bunch of missionaries and people come through, and they learn about creationism, and they learn about the history of the Bible and the church, and raise them up so that they can go speak at all these different churches, and that they can be street preachers and teach them what they're talented in. Mm-hmm. And it'll be like this huge school, basically. And they ate it up, whatever, get me sucked in. And I remember him telling me, well, in order to do that, we need to do like what Job did, where his friends came and everybody gave him gold and money to say sorry for, how they treated him.
Hmm.
And I remember that was one of the first things I was like, but you're not Job, Kent. That was the first thing I was thinking of. And as I was going on with my wife, we would just see these things like King David, like myself in the inner circle, quote unquote inner circle. There's no inner circle. It's Kent Hovind.
Right.
He just to make everybody feel good. He would say, my inner circle and he would talk about me, Ernest, and all that stuff. He'd be like, yeah, you're kind of like, I'm like King David, and you guys are my inner circle. You guys are my warriors. He even says that to people in the Bible studies if you pay close attention. So in your video, when he's comparing himself as King David and these wives, these multiple wives, you hit the head. He hit the nail on the head, right? I mean, he's basically admitting what's going on in his mind.
Well, he said that, like, King David took people that were destitute and that didn't have anything, and he made mighty men out of them, and that's what Kent is doing with these people who, they don't have transportation, or they might have been in like a halfway house for alcohol or something, and they can't leave DAL. I've heard him say this before, make this comparison of David raised up an army of these people who, were downtrodden, and he compares himself to like King David and Job, and I've heard him say like Noah, like how Noah preached and nobody on earth listened, and how no one's listening to Kent, even though that's not true. And Kent, he has an inner circle of people until he kicks them out and brings somebody else in that'll be more loyal to him.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's not even about, I didn't know that part where he's building it with the people that are there. But it makes sense.
I heard him say that in a video, yeah.
Yeah, so there's three ways you can look at all this, okay? One, Kent literally believes everything that we're talking about. He believes that he's this prophet, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Or number two, he's a straight-up scam artist con man. Or number three, he just doesn't understand the Bible and he's totally ignorant and he's just using it to make money, which would be the option number two. Okay?
Yeah.
Those are the three different options people have. I tend to believe it's a mix of all three.
Yeah, I would say that, although I do think, because I've heard people say, like, they watch my videos and stuff, and they say, does Kent really believe this stuff? Does he really believe what he says? And I'm like, I tell them, yeah, Kent really does believe this stuff, and especially when you have that many yes men surrounding you, reaffirming that what you're saying is true and pumping you up like that, it's very easy to get, convinced. If you lie to yourself long enough, you start to believe it. And Kent, he's like a narcissist, so he really does, even things that are not controversial, they're like contradictions about himself, he'll believe them. But I wanted to touch on Chris Jones, actually, if we could kind of shift gears to that, if that's okay.
Yeah, I had a feeling. Yep, I had a feeling you'd bring that
up. Because I have kind of my own crazy Kent Hovind conspiracy theory about Chris Jones, and I wanted to kind of ask you about this because I could be wrong. But we all, like, you and me know what Chris Jones has been not accused of but convicted of.
Right.
And I've seen all of Deborah's videos, the Shining Light on Kent Hovind videos. I watched all of those, and and in the documentary you mentioned it was like prophetic the way in the documentary you said that DAL isn't safe for children, and then like a year later you have the incident with the 7-year-old.
Yeah.
But okay, so there was an abduction of a child who got he had like scratches and bruises on him. He like wandered back to the camp by himself, and Deborah said that he described a person who was wearing a mask and he had blue eyes. And I looked up Chris Jones, his criminal profile, and it said that his eye color was blue. And I'm like, am I crazy? Or I don't know if Chris Jones was on the property when this abduction happened, but I was thinking, is it possible that maybe he was the person that did that?
I don't want to falsely accuse you. I have no idea.
I don't either.
And I understand. And I just want to throw this out there. It doesn't matter what happened. Rahab was a prostitute, and she was, the king knew about her. Okay, and God forgave her, and in fact, she was the great grandmother she was the great grandmother of David and the great grandmother of Jesus Christ. So
right.
How many greats? Okay, so God can forgive anything. Okay, so if he did that, he did those things. Okay, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you go read the documents, this Chris Jones guy did it, and then not only that, but he admits it with. I don't even want to bring up him because he wants to stay out of all this, but he admitted it to a guy in a recording that even if doesn't God forgive me of that? And it's like, yeah, of course. So he even admits it in that voicemail. So the guy did it, Chris Jones. Saying all that, God can forgive him. And number two, I don't know if he was on that property. I never saw him on the property. I was there, and I was only there for like maybe, it's been a while, maybe like 4 or 5 months, maybe 5 months.
So you were there when the abduction happened, though, right?
Yes, I was there. Yep. So was I could give you the numbers of everybody else that was there, and they all. What I'm about to.
Oh, I was just going to say, I guess if you haven't seen, because like I said, it was just kind of a crazy idea I had when I put these kind of pieces together. I was like, there's no way. But if you were on the property when that happened, but you didn't see Chris there, then I guess that kind of rules him out. But still, like you said, even if he can be forgiven, that doesn't mean that he should be around children.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Oh no! I mean, it's all out there what happened. But I mean, when the kid was abducted, Mary Tocco and Kent Hovind were literally eating pie and ice cream, as if nothing was going on, and everybody was freaking out.
Well, it's like when the drowning happened. He was handing out like flyers through DAL at the hospital.
Mm-hmm. Right. He just doesn't care. And the weird thing was Mary Tocco was acting the same way. And Mary Tocco comes off as this, valley girl, cheerleader type, whatever. And I'm telling you, she's just as bad as he is in her own way. And, she's got her own act. And anyway, it is what it is. But
well, she had her whole shtick about, I care so much about children, and all that, but apparently she didn't care that much about, but the case with the 7-year-old was suspicious to me because, it seemed like Kent was giving conflicting reports on it, because he was saying the dad was right next to the kid when it happened, but then I also heard that the parents weren't there, and also the kids couldn't swim. They weren't even wearing swim trunks. They were wearing regular jean shorts.
I'll tell you what happened. So I don't mean to cut you off, man.
No, it's okay.
So this is what happened. Somebody that was right there with the dad. The dad was playing billiards in I don't even know what it's called, like a Ramada area. I think it's enclosed now. But he was playing billiards, playing pool, not even anywhere where he could hear or see the kids. The mom was off in a totally different, she was gone somewhere. She was doing something with the women or something like that. They were unattended. They were, I think, not left alone, but there was somebody there. I'm not sure if it was a kid, like a teenager or what, but that's the only reason why they knew about the kid drowning is because the teenager or a couple teenagers that were there couldn't see them. That's why when they go, well, we don't know how long he was underneath the water, because nobody knew. Nobody had any idea.
Right.
The parents weren't there. So, yeah, when Ken says, oh, the dad was there, no, the guy, he was playing pool.
Yeah.
He was plenty distance away from the kids. And
he said the kid, slipped and hit his head on the dock, but it's how would you know that? Right. So it was unbelievable. Well, I guess it wasn't unbelievable to me that he would lie about that, but, What I'm going to tell you is true, okay? And I can't. The only other person that knows about this is Ernest Land, so maybe you can get a hold of him. And I believe, I'm not going to say the name because one of Kent's family members, okay, his blood family. Okay, so what I'm about to tell you is true. If you go talk to Ernest Land or you talk to one of Kent's family members, you might have to talk to a couple of them to find the person, but there was a guy at Kent's original DAL. This is before Kent went to prison. So Pensacola.
It's in Pensacola. It's funny. it's funny if somebody were able, they had the time and they wrote out a timeline of events, how God literally was chastising the heck out of Kent before he went to prison, and now big time after he came out. Because let's just be honest, Kent's ministry's done. I mean, it's kind of a joke, and it's. I don't mean to like. He might have, again, the people to give him money. He might be able to build pole barns and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But for the majority of what he was trying to accomplish, it's not happening. Okay, so before Kent went to prison, there was a guy who was a drug addict, okay? On Christ, and then he found out about Kent Hovind's place. Well, he went down to Kent Hovind's place in Pensacola and tried to get involved in the ministry. And Kent had him basically cleaning toilets and doing all kinds of mundane things, okay, just to keep him busy. And the people there weren't having it. They weren't liking the guy necessarily, and Kent was treating him like trash.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we find out that the guy one morning, they wake up to police officers investigating a death. Well, what happened was the guy ended up walking himself into the ocean and killing himself.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's just one occurrence. I mean, I've heard stories, and there's people that have been in there that know Kent even more that have heard stories that are just like, what in the heck? So the whole death thing, whatever's going on, I can't pinpoint anything. I don't want to make accusations, but the way I look at it is it's a spiritual thing, and if Kent is that nasty to people, and people can go look at all the material that's out there, if he's this kind of person where he's just pounding people into the ground, into submission, spiritually manipulating, you name it, then I think that these people are either, I don't know what's going on. Okay, I'm just going to say I have no idea what's going on, but yeah, there's death involved in his environment.
Kent, he always says that like God led him to make the ministry and basically sort of tells him how to lead it. But if that's true, then surely he would have told him that he needed to have lifeguards or he needed to have more safety in place for the children. So Kent is either ignoring that, or he's not telling the truth about that, you know?
When it goes back to the options we were talking about, right? Option 2 is he a scam artist con man, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's all about money. Is this whole thing about money? And he's using the ministry, which you said in the very beginning, he's using the ministry to hide what he's trying to do is push his philosophy of rebellion. And if you look at if you read what Christ says, you know, I mean, you pay tribute to the government, and in fact, in the Old Testament, the prophets were told. I mean, Jeremiah would tell Ezekiel, Micah, all the prophets. They would tell the kings, pay your tribute to whoever was in charge of the land at the moment, right? In Syria, the kings of Syria, or what you name it, and Kent is flat out rebelling in a seditious manner, which actually the Bible calls sedition as worse as fornicating and adultery. Go figure. Mm-hmm. And it's sedition. It's a sedition leading a rebellion against the government. And enough people stopped paying taxes. They did all this kooky stuff that Ken's talking about, where I would sit down with Joe Hogan, and she would cry to me, talking to me about people that would call, yelling at her, saying, you know, darn your husband, you know, my husband is now in prison because of your husband teaching him all this junk, and he hasn't paid his taxes, and blah, 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 blah. So Kent Hovind people go, oh, he's doing so many great things for the Lord. Well, you know what? Yeah, God can use a jackass, okay? They go, oh, he's doing such great things for the Lord, but he's doing way more hurt and more harm, and people don't understand that.
Right. Well, you know, one of Jesus' 12 disciples was a tax collector, and he said, you know, pay unto Caesar. So.
Right. Don't offend him.
Right. And that's what people told Kent when he was in jail. They said, don't offend them. And he said to that, oh, I wasn't offending them. I didn't come with a SWAT team to anyone's house. It's like, that's not what they meant.
Yeah, I know.
So you were saying that it was Kent's, when you mentioned Kent's family member, but that wasn't his family member that had drowned, was it? In Pensacola?
No, it was just a random guy. It was just a random guy that came in. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about that actually. But
nobody has.
Yeah, his ministry now is definitely not as big as it was in Pensacola in terms of him doing debates in colleges and, kind of being, he was kind of a celebrity in a way, and I know that it went to his head a lot, but I mean, he was pretty famous, and now he's just kind of, in backwoods Alabama, he making his end times bunker because he thinks that end times are starting in September, I think, of this year.
Yeah, no, he really is I mean, I don't know about now, but he was. Here's what's sad. It's not really sad because I don't even know the right word. Maybe tragic is the right word. When this whole thing with his wife Jo, when they were getting ready to divorce, my buddy, his name's Hunter. He was there. He was a college kid that just needed money, to get through college, and he ended up doing, just work around the, the ministry, sweeping, stuff like that. Well, him and I became good friends, and him and I, when we were finding out about Jo and Kent, we were like, we got to do our Christian duty, and we need to try and help them, right? This isn't right. And so we went and talked with Jo about, is there anything that can be done, and this stuff's in video, so I'm not going to rehash it. If people even care, they can go watch the videos and stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, so that happened. We tried to reconcile them, and it wouldn't work. Well, when Kent was getting ready to marry Toko, it was like my wife and I were like literally on the verge of just packing up and leaving anyway.
Yeah.
And Kent was he's getting ready to marry this lady, and we're getting ready to leave. I think it was like, I can't remember what it was for, but we were getting ready to leave. Oh, we were having a wedding reception for us, actually. So that's why we were leaving. And anyway, my wife, we're getting ready to walk away to go to the car, get stuff done, and my wife goes, sweetheart, we need to say something one more time. And I said, I know Kent. His mind's already made up. That guy is going to sin. He's going to commit adultery, and there's nothing we can say. I've done it before. I've tried to tell him about it. She says, no, we need to do it one more time. And I said, okay, babe. So we go, and there was one other lady that was in there, which was one of Kent Hovind and Joe Hovin's friends. I don't know her name, but she's also a witness. And God is. So that's why I'm telling you the truth, because I know this happened. So we get there, and we tell him, we're like, listen, people love you and Joe. Don't do this. Don't do this tomorrow. And get an apartment and woo your wife and win her back over. Take her on dates. Even if she doesn't want to go on a date first, stay in that apartment, either at a city nearby or down the street or something, and know you're serious. And he was basically, no. Okay. So finally, we left, and the whole point is that, okay, let's just cut right to it. This guy plans out everything he's going to do. He's very meticulous in what he does. Mm-hmm. He there's a con artist type thing he's doing. He really believes that he's a King David or some prophet in the Bible, and he's meticulous. He plans things out. He's a smart guy when it comes to deceit.
Yeah, I agree.
And being cunning. Right? Okay. So that's what this all comes. We can talk about every single detail. We can talk about every single scenario. We can go through everything. But that's what it comes down to. And when people realize that and they watch the Bible studies, it's hilarious. And honestly, it's a very funny thing to watch, because once you understand the act, and people, it is an act. Once people understand that, it's like it's like what the Bible says, don't answer a fool according to his own folly. So Kent Hovind literally believes everybody else is foolish, and he talks to them in a foolish way. That's why he's telling you what's going on in his life or what he's about to do, because he thinks you're foolish.
Right.
And so going off of that Bible verse even more so, and, don't answer a fool, according to his own folly, is that when, you're going to run across people like Kent Hovind in different extremities, from your boss at Pizza Hut, you know what I mean, like a manager that people can't stand, to people like Kent Hovind, and even beyond that. And for your audience, okay, the people that pay attention to you, this is gonna, it works for everybody, okay, across all boards, okay, across all communities, okay, thought patterns, all that. When you run across somebody like this guy, you have to understand everything you say. He thinks you're dumb. They think you're stupid. They think they know better. And it's funny how he says the communists do this when, in fact, they're the ones that he does this. They think you're stupid. They think you're dumb, and they use anything that they can against you. And they lie. They're deceitful. And talk to them as if you're a foolish person. Talk to them as if you're a foolish person. What I mean by that is, be super happy around them. Mm-hmm. Be super happy. Be super, what's the word? Sarcastic. Be super sarcastic people. Because if you do that, you're going to block yourself from the fool, right? Don't answer a fool according to his own folly. Don't answer a fool according to his own folly, meaning don't be real with them. They're not real people. They're not trying to be real with you. They're trying to use your words against you. So don't answer them. Instead, put a shield up, be sarcastic with them, or just don't even open yourself up to them in general, and you're going to save yourself a lot of hurt. Okay, yeah. And you're going to save yourself a lot of time and a lot of stress in life.
Yeah, it is funny when you. I've watched a ton of Kent's videos, and when you know his little tricks, his kind of tells, and just the way he says things, and does subliminal messaging and stuff like that, it's almost like watching a different video. And I could see how some people get fooled by it, but it is funny when you know kind of his game, because you can see right through what he's saying,
Yeah.
And it becomes obvious what he's actually trying to say.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is like, play around with him. I mean, just act like you have no idea what he's doing, and just be sarcastic and play with him, because they don't. If you do that, then they think that you don't know what's going on. They think that they got you, type of thing. It's like those people at church when they're like super happy, super charismatic type people, and they're just super erratic. Like they have no control over their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody's met people like that. Okay, act like that in front of them, right? Act like that in front of these people, because it'll shield you from their true intentions.
Yeah.
So.
Or someone like Kent, you could just butter him up, because he likes getting praised so much that he would just kind of roll over for that, because he's a narcissist, in my opinion. I have a video on my channel that kind of goes into that. But
there you go. Answer a fool according to his own folly, right? I mean, if he's acting like a fool, act like a fool. So.
All right. Well, I think we've covered pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. I know in your videos you like to kind of end off with a Bible verse, so you can do that if you want to. I want to be respectful,
Oh, thank you. And well, since I like to say something to the people that are watching their atheists. God. I don't want to presume, and I know everybody's different. There are people that have gone to church that have, and I was one of those at a teenage level age, where the church does you wrong. Okay, the people there are hypocrites. You name it. There are other people that have been hurt by family. I mean, you can run the gamut. Everybody's gone through a situation that you can point out. I mean, they could point out.
Yeah, I have. Definitely.
God. Okay. Yes. So God. Some people have been in a home where they've been brainwashed to think that Christ isn't real, all that, okay? I know God is real. I know Christ is real. I know the Bible is the truth. I have gone through multiple, I shouldn't say, I wasn't in the religions, but I've studied all of them. Okay, I went to a Jesuit college. Okay, Jesuits are, I mean, look at Pope Francis, right? I mean, anybody that does research will understand Jesuits are not the best people.
They're liberal with the Bible?
Very, very, and very liberal, and they've done some things in history that just aren't right, okay? I've studied most of the religions. I've gone through history. I wanted to see what came out on top, and the Bible does. People have a hard time with the flood. Okay, look at the flood. You can look at the history. You can look at the science even, and you have an argument. Okay. What I will say is Christ loves you. God will judge everybody according to what they know and what they understand. And don't let people put you off Christianity by saying hell, 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 brimstone and fire. You're going to go to hell because you don't believe in Christ at the moment, okay, in your life, in your walk. Don't be turned off by that. Dig for the truth. Ask God with an open heart who he is. Ask him to reveal the truth to you. And I'm telling you, you're not going to find it at a pulpit with these pulpitters, whatever that are at. You're going to find it in the Bible, and you're going to find it when you have a contrite heart and you're asking Christ for the truth. That's where you'll find it. Okay. So saying that, it's funny. I'm glad you asked because I had Micah open. Here we go. So the people that go, once saved, always saved, like Kent Hovind, go out and lie, and he laughs about lying because he does it all the time, right? Or, that's not Christianity. Okay, so a lot of that stuff that's out there, unfortunately, it's wrong. So Micah 6:8, he hath showed thee, O man, what is good, and what doth the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God. It's a rhetorical question. So that's what it's all about. Love God, do justly, do justice, and have mercy. And, God speaks fiercely sometimes with people because, I don't know if you have a kid, children.
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit, Theo.
Sometimes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think I can hear you.
Okay. Do you hear the Bibles?
One more time.
Okay. Did you hear pretty much everything I said beforehand, or was it breaking up?
I think you were asking me if I had any kids. Is that what you said?
Okay, that's where it broke up. Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
So God uses harsh words, and he's harsh to people because we're like children. And I asked, if you have children, you'll understand that sometimes you have to be harsh with them, even when you don't want to, because they're children. You know what I mean? But sometimes you have to reprimand kids. You have to. It's just part of life, and that's what God does. That's what God does sometimes. And, he uses very harsh language, but it doesn't mean he doesn't love you, or it doesn't mean that he's what people would call a psychopath in the Bible. And one of the big things, and I'm sorry, thank you for allowing me to do this. I won't take too much longer, okay?
No, it's okay.
What God does sometimes is he speaks harshly, right? But he loves you. Now, people will point out in all communities, they'll say he's a psychopath killer, God is, okay? And they'll point out God and the firstborns being put to death so that the Israelites can flee Egypt, okay? Well, if you look back at that, it's if you look back at that, God is a just God, right? Okay, well, guess who killed the firstborns in the very beginning? It was the Pharaoh. All right? So because God is a just God, well, you can kind of see why the firstborns were killed. All right? That's God. We're not that. We're not God. We don't know perfect judgment. We don't know what perfect justice is. So when it comes to certain harsh things, God will deal with that. But the people out there like Steven Anderson or these Kent Hovind types that are making fun of you, because you guys believe a certain way right now and hopefully it changes. That's wrong, okay? Telling you, well, anyway, I've said exactly what I needed to say. I appreciate the time and the interview, and I pray that people wake up, the Christian community and the people that are atheists or that don't know what's going on, they also wake up. And Kent Hovind is just an archetype of the narcissists that are out there.
Yeah.
Right? And all it is just you learn from it, and you defend yourself or stay away from these people. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, no, I agree definitely. And, I wanted to give you a chance to, kind of finish the videos the way you like, because, on my channel, I don't care. I have Christian friends and Muslim friends, and I can tell the difference between somebody like Kent Hovind and somebody who's Christian or just religious, and they're still a trustworthy and good person, you know what I mean? So everybody's welcome on my channel, and I don't think, there's any reason that, somebody who's non-religious can't have a civilized conversation with a religious person. Meanwhile, Kent likes to kind of paint all atheists with one brush and make fun of them, which is just bigotry, really. But, hopefully that makes sense that, there's a distinction between these sort of fake Christians like Kent who are sort of scamming people and people who are really in it for the right reasons. And I can respect that, Everybody has their own beliefs, so. But I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, and real quick, Bible talks about he does, and, and then he makes fun of them, and that's not good at all. I mean, you don't do that. You're not supposed to be calling people names like that, and to be peaceful with all men if possible. Right? That's what it comes down to. If you and I were at a food truck distribution center, I'm not going to sit there and call you bad names in front of everybody when we're trying to do good, right? We're going to be peaceful and we're going to do the right thing.
Right.
So, anyway, I appreciate you. You have a good night, and you've got my number. We can be friends and all that, and I wish you luck, okay?
All right. Thanks, Theo.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.